This is episode number 7. I'm here at the Green Door in Hobart, Indiana, the bookstore. I'm with my right-hand man, Sret Dog, my homie. What's up, dude?
What's going on, man?
You like my voice tonight?
Silky smooth.
Is it silky smooth?
Pure bass.
It's pure bass. It's pure berry white.
It's pure dark chocolate.
It's pure white chocolate, baby.
It's pure white chocolate.
Yeah, see, my voice gets sexier around the holidays for the ladies, so it just happens. I don't know if it's nocturnal. I don't know what it is, but it just happens. So.
It's the reverse. What do you call that in the springtime when all the animals are getting ready to mate?
Right.
It's the reverse mating season.
It is. It's the reverse mating season, but I'm down to mate and I'm ready to hibernate and mate.
Try that rhyme again.
Okay, I'm ready to mate and hibernate. I'm looking for a winter girlfriend.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, that will cook and get me fat, but. At any rate, we're at the Green Door. Tomorrow is Black Wednesday.
Blackout Wednesday.
Is it Blackout Wednesday?
Blackout Wednesday.
Is that what they call it? Blackout Wednesday? Yeah. You know, I like to do a little promotion for Hobart because it's my hometown and I love it. And tomorrow night at
Villa del Sol,
they're having an 80s theme party. And it starts at 6 and it's going to end at midnight. Shout out to Jeff there. He's the manager. They're trying really hard. I went there last Friday. They had their opening and they had a DJ there. And the DJ rocked it, and it was pounding, and it was loud. So all the ladies out there that like to shake their tail feather, come support. And they have great food and 80s vibe. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. They've had some test DJs before their grand opening. DJs are always good. They've had live music a couple times, too.
Right.
A couple guys. But they've good DJs.
They do. I don't remember the DJ's name, so I'm sorry. I'll try to get that information next time. But it was super loud, and it was super good, and it was better than the same 10 tracks that they'll play at certain bars on, you know.
Shots.
Oh, who is that song by? I don't even know.
Little John? Does he get the credit for it?
Oh, yeah, it is Little John. Duh. Another shout out to the librarium. I go there all the time. They have a nice little vegan setup if you're into your vegan thing. Vegetarian setup with food. They're serving food there now, and it's really, really good. So shout out to librarium. Also shout out to Cagney's. I love Cagney's. It's always fun. And Three Monkeys, and we have a show coming up, a comedy show with Kyle Norris that I interviewed a few episodes back, and that's going to be on Black Friday.
Right.
And who are the other people that are going to be on it?
Brian Babylon is the headliner. David Spolaris is one of the other comics that's opening. I think he's, I'm going to forget the stand-up slang. I think Brian Babylon is the headliner. Then David's before him. Then Kyle Norris before him, and then the host is I'm not going to get it.
It's all right. But how about the Brian Babylon guy? Back to him. Is he pretty well known? And
he's in LA right now. He's a stand-up that started. He's from Bronzeville, Chicago, South Side.
Oh, cool.
So he's been doing stand-up out there for a while, and he does all the clubs. He happens to be an African American gentleman, but
awesome.
he goes all over the place.
Okay.
So. You know, and he was one of the. Have you ever heard of NPR's Wait, Don't Tell Me? Mm-mm. It's a Chicago-based comedy trivia show that NPR does. It's really, really popular with NPR. He's been the one of the guest hosts there a bunch of times, so he's a funny dude.
Some of my favorite African-American comedians in the past 15 years is T.K. Kirkland, Patrice O'Neal, Hannibal Buress, and of course Richard Pryor. I mean, he's the best, and Eddie Murphy, but I really like Patrice O'Neal. I don't know if you ever listened to him, but
I have, yeah.
He's the best. He's the best. He had his own podcast before podcasts were podcasts, 10 years ago? I don't know. I mean, he started it off, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to be here. You're also going to have some other guys come in and do some recording, right? Some other region podcasters.
Yeah, the guys from This Podcast is Garbage. Yeah, they'll be here beforehand. They're going to do some recording before the comedy show. They're going to be interviewing Brian, and I don't know what else they have in mind.
Cool, yeah.
Awesome. But if you're around here and you hear the show, look up This Podcast is Garbage and subscribe. And we're trying to expand the podcasting world here in Northwest Indiana. Dude's a big music file too, like you.
Yeah, maybe we'll collaborate. And shout out to those guys. I listened to a few episodes. It was good, I wish there was more hours in a day to check out everything, but like you said, get everybody together and collaborate and meet. And
I'm gonna mess up her name. The host of the show, of the comedy night is Aladar Sky.
So yeah, that show's at the Art Theater.
Black Friday
starts at 8 o'clock. Please come check it out. And also, with the Black Friday thing, support small businesses. That's what it's all about. Don't go to the big ones. Go to the small ones. And if you're looking for books, come to the Green Door. All books are $1. There's a lot of good selections. I can't wait to get my hands on that Dick Francis book above my right hand shoulder. That book is just calling my name. But let's get to what I do, or what we do, right?
Let's get to it.
You ready? Let's get to this. First album I want to talk about tonight is by an artist named Thundercat, and the album is called Drunk. Thundercat is a bass player, and he's a producer, and he's been around for a while. He's from L.A. He's done a lot of production with Flying Lotus and Kendrick Lamar, just to name a few. And he also started being a bass player in Suicidal Tendencies, which is a legendary crossover thrash punk band from L.A. If you've never heard Suicidal Tendencies, you really need to check them out. They're awesome. Thundercat, yeah, his real name's Steven Bruner. I would call his genre funk, R&B, soul jazz, a little acid jazz, a little electronica. This album's really cool because he's extremely animated. Animated. Here we go. It's very fun. It's kind of like a cartoon. If you're a fan of Tim and Eric, this is up your alley. And then it takes a lot of cool little romantic twists. It's extremely swaggy, sexy. I like the title Drunk because it has like a slippery drunk vibe, you know, like a little pre-buzz if you're drinking a lot of wine or maybe a lot of gin on the West Coast, how they do it, you know, a little gin and juice. It's really cool. It shows his personality, which is very vibrant, and it's jokey. You know, I like the electro funk. So he has a band around him, and they're all badasses. And a really cool way to check him out if you've never listened to him before is on the Tiny Desk. His performance on Tiny Desk is amazing. I had a friend show me this album, and it came out, I think, in April or March of this year. And he showed it to me, and I liked it, but I had to come back to it because there's so much other music to check out. But I think he's a really important artist that people need to check out. He was on Jimmy Fallon's show. You know, he's been around, so he's one of those dudes. He's already successful as far as a producer goes, and he's worked with a lot of big artists, you know. And I think this is kind of like his project. And he's just showing you his goofy personality, you know, like he'll wear like short Gucci shorts and, you know, like a pink hoodie and have pink braids, and he's just goofy, you know, but he has a really cool bass tone. So if you're a fan of, you know, Primus or even digging deep here, like I hear a lot of Weather Report, which is an old school jazz band from the 70s and 80s that had Jocko in it, who's a legendary bass player, who's one of my favorite of all time. So if you like some elevator funky jazz, and if you like bass players that have their own quirky personality, this is a good place to start. Like I said, like a Jocko, but he's not that quirky, but you know, Les Claypool and a Primus, but this dude brings that cool romantic West Coast vibe to it, you know, like he has his own style. Getting into this album, the first track that I really, really love, it's called Fans Mail. It's a badass track. It's really smooth. Like I said, it has this nighttime vibe to it, and it's all about cats, which is kind of silly. Like I said, this guy's always doing some silly stuff, you know, so it has all these weird cat references. My favorite track, this might be one of my most favorite tracks of the year. It's called Lava Lamp. This on Tiny Desk check out this song. I think, you know what, they open up with this on Tiny Desk. It starts off with this really cool harmonizing between all the musicians. Like I said, it just has this late night vibe. You know, you're hanging out with your girlfriend or your significant other and in a convertible on the West Coast on the beach. You know, it has that vibe, and it's nice to hear a song like that. You know, it's got this really cool baby making music vibe. You know what I'm saying, Sretton?
I like baby making music.
All right. I love it. I think it's a great track. After that, there's this track called Jethro. It's really, really cool. It has like a snare clap for the snare action. Awesome offbeat drumming. Kind of has a hip-hop jazz vibe. Another track, too, Show You the Way. This is a song you would like make out to your girlfriend in like an elevator or a slow-moving elevator. Like you would be, or you'd be at the grocery. Like this is something that would play at a grocery store in the background, but have like a good vibe. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like,
it's still sexy.
But it's still sexy.
Like you're picking out sexy fruits and vegetables.
That's what I was going to get at. This is when you make out with your old lady in the produce section in front of the oranges. That's what the song makes me want to do. So
shame yourself in front of the oranges.
I know. So it's called Show You the Way. It has Don Henley on it, I believe, and another I shouldn't say this, but it has like two 70s, 80s romantic singers. I wish I don't have it right now. We'll get back to that. But it has these two dudes on it, and this song was on Jimmy Fallon. And what's cool is like when they have their little cameo part, he introduces them live.
Yeah.
Like it's like a live song, and it's a really cool jam. The next song that I really, really like too is called Friend Zone. It has this really cool dance vibe. Like it's one of those tracks that has like a Parliament Funkadelic or a Funkadelic vibe, you know, with like a slap. He's got this cool like slap bass with electronic Space Invaders sound to it, you know? Like it's kind of, his bass isn't in your face. It's kind of in the back, and it makes everything else kind of gel. But he's always doing crazy like finger taps. He's doing a lot of noodling, and you really have to listen. Like if you watch him live, like he's known for his live performances, so check him out live on YouTube. But if you watch him, I mean, this guy is all over the neck. He's doing all kinds of crazy hammer-ons and whatnot with the bass. But yeah, this I like this a lot. Like you can hear a lot of Bootsy Collins. This has a weather report vibe. Like I said, a lot of Jocko, and the lyrics are awesome. You know, he's got some really, really good one-liners in there about being in the friend zone when you're talking to a girl and she puts you there and you don't want to be there. It's some lyric like, go make me tacos, you know, like, bitch, don't kill my vibe, you know. He's just got a lot of vibrant and a lot of color behind his music and his personality. So it's a really good track. Another track I like is called Them Changes. This song has an awesome drum beat, kind of hip hop again. You hear a little hip hop action. This is an awesome song to dance to. You could really hear the keyboards here and the violinist. It really sticks out. This is the best track on the album as far as musicianship goes for the entire band. There's a really cool swaggy 70s porn star vibe to this, you know? So this album is really kind of like a throwback as far as, I don't know, just like a cool, chill vibe. Drink That is probably like a single as far as, you know, you could hear this on the radio. I don't know if it's on the radio or not, but it has another late night Cali vibe. I hear a really strong 90s R&B kind of back and forth with this. It has that cool classic 90s hook, you know, chorus by Thundercat, and then it has the rhymes, and the guy that's rapping on this is Wiz Khalifa. A lot of people know who Wiz Khalifa is, and he's not bad. I've always liked him, but it has that cool, maybe like Biggie with Mary J. Blige kind of back and forth. You know what I'm talking about. Remember that 90s kind of, you know, sing the chorus, then the rap, you know, first verse, chorus, second verse. And it just has that really cool vibe to it, you know. It just, it kind of takes me back, so it's nice to hear that.
One of my favorite songs, now I'm having a blank as to what it was called, but it was that Method Man and Mary J. Blige song.
Yeah, it's a great track. That really got me into Wu-Tang because I think Cream came out first, and then that came out and blew up more commercially because they had so many members.
Yeah.
So Cream was Wu-Tang's first actual single off of 36 Chambers, but then You're All That I Need, that's what that song's called.
Yes.
Yeah, and then that came out, and that really blew up Wu-Tang. So, like I said, Thundercat, check him out. He's an awesome artist. He's a lot of fun. He's like a cartoon character. He really is. And I would give this album a 7.5 out of 10. Now, there's parts in here, like I said, a thing I want to point out, too, it's called Drunk, so there's a lot of interludes in this. You know, like all the tracks that I just mentioned that I like, they're really, really good. But then there's kind of a little bit of clutter with the interludes, and it's kind of silly, and I think he's just doing whatever he wants. There's a couple parts in this, too, where the production, it's like, are they doing that on purpose? Like, there's a couple parts where the drums clap too hard, and it cuts everything out, like like just a shitty recording. It's just like, what is that? So some of the recording is rough on this, and then some of the interludes I don't really care for, and that's why I'm giving this a 7.5 out of 10. But back to the title with Drunk, this whole album has 22 tracks, so there's a lot here. You know, there's a lot. In the very beginning, it's crazy, and that's where I hear a lot of Jocko and just like fusion jazz, but by the fifth track, it finds its feet. But towards the end, like around track 18, everything starts to go downhill. It's not terrible, but it's going downhill, and I kind of get a vibe like it's called Drunk, and this is when you're sobering up. You know? Like it's just kind of, everything slows down a little bit, and it's just, you know? So if he would have just focused on the main tracks, like I said, like I mentioned, and just kept that vibe, and instead of 22 songs, shorten it up to 12, would have been a killer album. But since he drew it out a little bit too long, in my opinion, I had to knock some points off of it. And with his voice, he sounds the same on every song. So that's another thing. Like, I like this guy. I like his musicianship. I do like his voice, but it's the same every song. So, I started to notice about halfway through or a little bit past, like, could you do something else? But it's a fun album, It's definitely one of my favorites of this year. And I do like some fun, vibrant, pretty music, some chill stuff, something to put on for the ladies or yourself. Like there's some tracks on here like I could not help but dance, like I just move with my shoulders,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just hard not to move. You like to dance?
I love to dance,
Do you?
Joe.
I try.
I think I'm a great dancer. Other people beg to differ.
Really? You can't dance?
No, I can dance.
You better be able to dance.
I could keep a rhythm. Let's
Can
say
you?
it that way.
Okay.
I'm not off beat. How many moves do I have? I got like 2.5.
2.5. Can you pop, drop, and lock it?
No, that's not dancing.
I beg to differ.
I mean, the right lady does it. It's kind of awesome.
Yeah, but you can't do it?
No, that's not a sexy move for a man to do. But no.
All right. Fair enough. But back again to promoting a few things I wanna put out there. I have a good friend that is unfortunately going through some health issues right now. His name's Chris Montez, and he started the group Decrypt, which is a local grindcore band from Cherville, Indiana, in like the early 2000s. Mm-hmm. And he's having some health issues, and he's in the hospital right now, so I want to give him a shout-out. Chris is an awesome guitarist, awesome drummer. He's been in the scene, in the death metal grindcore scene, locally and nationally for a minute. He did it was like a Midwest fest for a bunch of different bands, like in that style of genre. It was called the Midwest Fuck Fest.
I've heard of it.
Okay.
I actually used to work at a restaurant. I won't name names, but
he used to be a cook there.
He used to be one of the. I met him there.
Yeah.
When he told me about that, I was like, I want to go to that. Why? He's like, why? Do you like the music? I was like, nah, I like what you named it. I want to see what it's all about. And I've told you before, like I'm not very knowledgeable in the grindcore world or the fast
speed metal,
all that
metal,
stuff.
Grindcore.
I went through my heavy metal phase, whatever that meant, Megadeth and Metallica and White Zombie and Rob Zombie and all that stuff, Pantera. But I never went deeper than that. I've never been to a concert that even plays that type of music. It's it's on my list.
Okay.
Maybe for my 40th birthday.
Yeah,
bro.
you got to go to it. That's what it's called, the Montez Fest, believe it or not. So it's a fundraiser for them, and it's going to be at the Live Wire Lounge on 3394 North Milwaukee Ave in Chicago. It's on January 13th, which is a Saturday. In 2018, so it's next year. It's 21 and older, $10 cover. It starts at 7 p.m. Bands that I know mainly through Chris in the old school Decrypt days. Putrid Pile will be there. That's a one-man show. He's from Wisconsin. He's awesome. He plays guitar. He has the drum machine to do the crazy drums, and he does the vocals. He's a one-man show. He's awesome. Shout out to Putrid Pile. It's been a minute. Plaguebringer, I think one of the guys is from Chicago, the other guy's from Cherville. They're, legendary region status for old school death metal and grindcore. They'll be there. Handsome Prick, I've brought them up before. Great grindcore, good guys. Brad, Vanderzee, and Justin Wallace were in Decrypt, actually, with Chris. Brad was, like I said, drummer. Justin did vocals. And then Minimum Wage Assassins is going to be there, too. They're a two-piece badass grind band, and there's about 4 other bands. I haven't heard of them before, and I can't read the logo because it's that crazy death metal font right now. Yeah. But yeah, go there, check it out. Chris is a good dude. I hope he's doing well. So if anyone wants to go and check it out and donate, go out there, show some support. Chris is a good friend of mine. He loves that style of music. He always stayed true to himself. When you name things like Fuckfest, you don't care what anybody thinks. Yeah, shout out to Chris. I hope you're doing all right, man. Go out there, people. Go check it out. Now I want to get into another album, and it came out like the first quarter of this year, kind of like Thundercat.
Quick time out.
Oh, go ahead.
Chris might be the guy I worked with.
He was. Oh yeah. Back to Chris real quick.
Did he wear like a devil horns, like shave his head and wear devil horns all the time? I don't know. We'll talk about it after the show.
No, it's okay. Back to Chris.
I think I know him.
He was the cook at the place where you worked.
He was.
Yeah. Chris is a phenomenal cook. He always cooked me up some good stuff. He was never.
Maybe he's the guy I'm talking about.
He was never scared to make me some fire tacos, and he was never scared to pay or pour me an extra shot of Bacardi Gold. Was one of his favorites, and Skol vodka. So,
okay, I think I know him.
Chris went hard in the paint. No, he's a good dude. Yeah, he's a great
small
cook.
World.
Yeah, small world, and I hope the best for him. I hope everything's good, and I know he had a GoFundMe thing that was on Facebook. and I guess it did pretty well. Like it just came down, but I hope the best for him. And,
Yeah.
You know, I'll be out there. I saw him about a year ago at a Rotten Sound show at Reggie's, and he was great. It was nice to see him. Yeah, I hope he's doing well. But that's funny, like you said, it's a small world.
Yeah.
You're from that area, right? You're from Schererville, so
Yeah.
I think he may have graduated with you. Like,
I'm way older than you guys. Not way, just a few years older.
just a few. All right. But no, back into my little pre-introduction here. This album came out probably the first quarter of the year. He's an artist that I've liked for a while. I think I heard about him a year after he was, I don't know, I guess that doesn't matter, but it's Kendrick Lamar. Damn. I'm sure a lot of people, they know who Kendrick is. I think he's probably, you know what? He is the best at what he does right now. I think he's a great thing for hip hop, lyrically, what he stands for, artistically too. He seems to always be changing himself every album, and every album kind of has this theme where at the end of it you're scratching your head like, oh, okay. Just some really conscious, awesome hip hop. He'll touch on just all kinds of different issues, street issues where he grew up, or personal stuff, or, like To Pimp a Butterfly was a great album. Good Kid, Mad City was great. Everything he's put out so far, like, I've been a huge fan of. So I was really looking forward to Damn. And when it came out, the first couple singles I liked. I thought they were good. I thought the videos were pretty catchy. Have you listened to him at all? Are you familiar with Kendrick?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
I went to, a couple years ago, my brother took me to one of his concerts. Like, he was in the middle of blowing up, his initial getting popular phase.
Okay.
And he took me to a concert in the city. It was pretty great.
Where was it at?
The place is shut down. I think it was at the Congress Theater. I'm like 99% sure it's at the Congress Theater.
The Congress is shut down?
It was. I don't know if they reopened it in the last year or two, but I thought
Okay.
it was shut down for something.
Well, I think they did some remodeling to the Congress.
I hope so. It's a cool place.
It is cool. I've seen some really cool bands there. It was always like extremely, extremely hot, but like the ventilation in there was not quality. That's what I remember. Like, it was like a
I don't
sweat
mind
pit.
that. Yeah, I don't mind that. If I go to a concert and I want to be around a mess of people, I went and saw Father John Misty back in May, and that was a very controlled concert. It was at the Chicago Theater. Everyone sat down. It was very proper.
Well, it's Father John Misty.
Yeah, my brother, who's a huge fan, kept getting up on his feet and clapping, and the crowd just wasn't really. He was the odd man out. I was real surprised. Any live music, unless it's like an opera or play, I feel like you should get up, because I'll fall asleep if I stay sat down for too long, and especially if I didn't know all the music. I don't know Father John Misty's music. I've listened to it a bunch of times, never really got into it. But yeah, the crowd was, at one point everybody did get up because they got like real excited about one of his songs, and he told them to sit back down. It was weird.
That is weird.
I was like, why would he want, like, he's trying to keep the audience like chilled out and relaxed and sleepy.
Here's some random stuff. I got to bring them up because I bring them up every damn podcast, but I'm going to go see Morrissey this upcoming weekend. And I heard,
It's the first time I hear of this.
and I heard that he said no leather. You cannot wear leather to a Chicago show or he won't perform.
He's just looking for an excuse.
But at any rate, and another Morrissey thing, they gave him his official day in Los Angeles. November 10th in Los Angeles, California is Morrissey Day. So,
Wow.
Yeah, shout out to Morrissey.
Wow.
And his album's out. I've listened to the single so far. It'll be probably on the next one. I mean,
Yeah.
So I'll review it. And so far it seems okay. But yeah, if you're going to a Morrissey show this weekend at the Riv, don't wear leather.
Don't ruin it for everybody else.
Meat is murder. Don't wear leather, man. He's all about the animals. But back to Kendrick. Section 80 was my introduction to him, and that's my favorite by him still to this day. I don't know. He had an album before that. It was kind of more of a mixtape, and Section 80 is kind of a mixtape too, but I love that album, and it really resonated with me, and it turned me on to a lot of different rappers within his little clique, Top Dog Entertainment. You have Schoolboy Q, Ab Soul, and I think there's a really good lineup of rappers there. J-Rock was really good. His last album wasn't quality, but he kind of has this like Immortal Technique Tupac voice behind him, J-Rock, But I originally checked out Schoolboy Q, and then I found out about Kendrick. And then he was on the BET Cypher where they have all the newer artists, and they have their little chance to spit their freestyle, and he was good. I'm like, who is this guy? I mean, this was a long time ago. We're talking almost 6-7 years ago. So Section 80, I really loved it. And then Good Kid, Bad City was awesome. And then To Pimp a Butterfly was awesome. I remember I was quite conflicted. Every song starts off like that. Do you remember?
You and Kyle were talking about
Yeah,
that.
okay. I remember I was quite conflicted. But so like I said, every album he's been progressing, and every album kind of had this theme. And with Damn, that's not what happened here. And if you really dig into this, like lyrically, like it's all over the place, but he's having this kind of tug of war with, you want me, like, okay, he had a BET performance that was a little bit over the top for some people. It had a lot of slavery references and stuff, and I particularly didn't care for it because it was just kind of weird, you know. But a lot of people were saying like, "Oh, you're making black people look bad and this and that." Like, why don't you know? A lot of critics were like, "Why don't you just stick to being a rapper?" So I think a lot of that built up. You know, he had a lot of that build up with inside him, and this album has like a lot of dark lyrical content at times, and a lot of like, you know, questioning himself and, oh, okay, you want me to be the mean rapper, so here you go. So I was kind of like, whoa, with this at first. Like when you really listen to the lyrics, it's deep, but all of Kendrick's other stuff always had this kind of, like I said, it always had some kind of message to it, but it was always more positive. This isn't, you know, this is kind of like, you know, he's always been the type of MC too to bring a lot of religious Christianity stuff into his raps. And this one, he's questioning it a lot, you know. And I think, I don't know his exact age, but it kind of sounds like a young man turning into an actual man. You know what I'm talking about? Like we all go there. Mm-hmm. I don't want to get into religion and whatnot, but you know, you question a lot of things. And I think with this album, he's really looking inside and questioning, you know, God, you know, where you at? And you know, it's just it was a hard listen at first, you know, and like I've listened to this album probably about 20 times now, and I do like it. That's why I'm talking about it now. But
right.
it was kind of a curveball for Kendrick. I thought it was going to have like his same kind of vibe, but he kind of went a little angry and a little dark on this. So that's cool, you know.
That's okay.
Yeah, it is okay. And he had some other angry and dark stuff on past albums, but this one just kind of has like a disconnected, like, where am I going in life kind of vibe, you know, like, and with the production. But the first track too, DNA, that's one of my favorites. It's the second track. Great rhymes. This was a single. He seems very, very comfortable here, very confident. The last minute of this song, he's spitting bar after bar, and he's really, really aggressive. Like, he's got that machine gun kind of like scat, scat, scat flow, and I think this is what Kendrick does best. Like, this is his strong point as a rapper, and it's so aggressive. And this is just like that last minute, that last flow there on DNA. Like, this is why he's the best rapper right now, in my opinion. Like, commercially and on the underground, like he could kill it, and it's just an awesome ending verse, and I love it. And DNA is a really cool video. You got to check it out. He's got Don Cheadle in it. Yeah, and they do like this weird like interrogation thing. It's really cool. But yeah, I love the very, like, the last minute of it. Like, I don't even know how many bars it is, but it's got to be like in the 70s, and he just spits. It's like, God damn, dude, like he's really good. So if you want to look up the lyrical content for it, check it out. I don't have all night to talk about the last 72 bars, but yeah, DNA is a great track. Element, it's track 4. This album too has this weird, do you remember in the early 2000s where you'd have like Funkmaster Flex or DJ Clue like always doing like those shout outs in the beginning before songs, and you would like download it off Napster? Like, I think he purposely did that with this because he has Funkmaster Flex and he's like, Kung Fu Kitty, you know, like, you remember that stuff, like Kung Fu Kitty 2004, like he's yelling stuff.
Do you remember before that in the 90s and the late 80s, B96, they'd have the free mix like Fridays and Saturday nights, and Bad Boy Bill, they would say Bad Boy Bill like every 10 minutes.
Every 10 minutes. Yeah, that it has that vibe. Like, I think he did it on purpose, but it's Funkmaster Flex screaming Kung Fu Kitty and all this weird. But dude, shout out to B96 in the 90s. That was the best. Like, I've had like conversations about that with a few friends. Like, it was great.
I'd go to the store and I'd buy like an 8, 10, 12 pack of tapes. And then Fridays and Saturday nights, if I was home, I would just put the tape in and just press record.
Yeah.
And I thought I was collecting something great. And I had a ton of tapes, just those mixes. It was just hours and hours and hours. Not even my own form mixtapes. It was just me recording a mix from B96. Yeah, that was like my middle school.
Yeah, it was that was like elementary school for me. But we'd always go to the Hobart Pool, and they'd have like these little dance parties and stuff. Like I remember all those songs, man, all of them. They were great. Eddie and Jobo's show. Yeah, but it has that vibe. It has that like early 2000s. We'll even say 90s like DJ mixtape shout out thing going on. But yeah, the song's Element. I have that on here. Early 2000s mixtape vibe. I love the chorus of this song, and the beat switches up like 4 different times, and I think it's pretty catchy, and it shows his diversity. You know, like as a rapper, you know, he could rhyme over some slower beats, speed them up, back and forth. Track 5 is called Feel. I love it. This is one of those, like I was mentioning earlier, you can just tell he's frustrated. It's very personal. He's stressed. And this is kind of like a shout out at God, you know, like he's helping all of these people in his life, and he's wondering if people are praying for him and if God's helping him. So it's one of those deep songs. The 8th track is Humble. This was a single, the main single, and I thought it was a very catchy single. It's probably my most favorite by him out of the last 3 albums. I mean, it has an awesome, catchy beat, awesome chorus, great hook. It has a really cool like piano vibe to it. Kind of reminds me of some Dr. Dre production in the 90s, early 2000s too. He has some cool lyrical content too. Like he's upset with girls with all the Photoshop and all the makeup, and he wants to see some stretch marks, you know? Show us some stretch marks. You like that with this voice? You like it?
Yeah.
Do I sound like Barry White? But yeah.
Show us some stretch marks.
Show us some stretch marks. Kendrick wants to see him, and so do I. We don't need all that. We don't need
perfection.
We don't need perfection.
Imperfection is sexy.
That's right. I'm going to get to a couple sexy female MCs here in a little bit that are really good rappers. I'm really happy about that. But yeah, Humble's awesome. I mean, everybody's probably heard this. I think it's on a commercial now, or I hear it before NFL games, and you know, it is what it is. The 9th track, Lust, I also love. This kind of has like a heartbeat vibe. I hear some old school funkadelic in this. Maybe, what's his name? Thundercat's producing this. I know he was on his last few albums. Like I said, he's a really good producer, but I hear some old 70s funkadelic, you know, some Bootsy Collins, some George Clinton on here. This song, it sounds like he's taking shots at groupies, you know, female groupies. It's got a kind of a little, I don't like groupies flow to it. It seems like he's rapping from a groupie's, like her point of view, you know, and then her conscience too, you know, like I'm doing all this to get all this attention, but I know I'm being a dirtbag about it too. Then it takes, like I said, that was the 9th track. There's 14 tracks total. Then it kind of, it takes a little, I'll just call it an moment from track 10 to about 13. In all of that, there is a cool track. I didn't know how this was going to work out, but it has Bono from U2 in it. And in between this thing I got going on, Rihanna's on a song. But, you know, these are like the commercial jams. So I'm not really into that kind of stuff. But they're not bad. But I'm just, you know, kind of a yawn moment. But the very last song, it's called Duckworth. And this is probably my most favorite song, lyrically speaking. You know, when I was talking about bars before, like he's just that rapid machine gun fire kind of vocal approach that he has. And then with Kendrick's kind of nasally, you know, congested, like arrogant kind of spit, like this is Kendrick, you know. So I like when he does this. And then it has that old smooth jazz flow. Like that's what I like a lot about Section 80 and stuff off of different albums like Good Kid, Mad City or To Pimp a Butterfly. Like I think Kendrick is at his best when he raps over jazz stuff, you know, like old jazz rap. Like I could see him just killing it on old Tribe Called Quest, you know, like, you know what I'm talking about? Like those old kind of productions, like old Jay Dilla stuff from the early 90s. I love jazz rap, and I think he could just really, I think he really shines when he has this particular lyrical approach. The beat on this is badass. The instrumentals are cool. There's 3 different breaks in this as well, so he could just flex around, and he could go fast, he could go slow. It ends with that track. Duckworth is badass. Damn's a good album. And out of everything, like, this is the thing with this. It took me a while to digest this, like I mentioned. I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. I felt that with some of the interludes, and like I said, there was a gap there, like 10 through 13. Didn't really move me. And it seems
10 through 13 were the most commercially sounding songs, right?
Yeah.
Those are the ones you weren't into.
Yeah, like in that little gap, there's a song that's like 7 minutes long, and then that's pretty long for a hip hop track. But it has this whole, you know, the story of Job in the Bible. Mm-hmm. It refers to a lot of that. Like before it starts, there's like a voicemail, maybe from his cousin or somebody he knows. And like I said, there's a lot of like dark things going on here as far as where's God at? Do I have a relationship with God? In this 7-minute long track, it references Job a lot, and like the whole lyrical setup is like the book of Job, So I just think it's something Kendrick did at the moment because he felt it at the heart, that's what he felt in his heart. So I love it. But I think maybe I was expecting a little bit more of like I said, like his past works, like there was always some kind of message or, like I said, like a head scratcher. And not to forget, last year he put out To Pimp a Butterfly was such a good album. He had a whole album's worth of leftovers, and that came out last year, and that shit was good too. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it was really, really good. So I don't know if that's technically I know it's technically a release, but yeah, you know what it's called? It's called Untitled Unmastered, and that's really good too. That came out last year, but I was thinking with this, it would have been more of like a typical Kendrick project, like it was going somewhere. But this was a little bit all over the place, and there were some dark messages, and it was cool though because it's cool to dive into that. But it's not a 10 out of 10. And it's not one of those that you could put on and not skip a track. There's some skip worthies, but the ones that shine, like I mentioned, they really, really shine. So, check it out. You enjoyed seeing him live? I'd like to see him.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Was it?
I didn't know any of his music. My brother did. That doesn't matter to me when I go to a concert. I enjoy it more if I know the words, but we were close to the front, right in the middle. And by the time you get out there were a ton of people. And the opening act, I don't remember who it was. They were good too. But by the time he came out there, everybody just like, you were squished, and every single person, even the songs that weren't on any of the albums that were probably part of his mixtapes, everybody knew every word to every song, and they were all singing along.
What year was this, you think?
It must have been maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
It's probably like Section 80 came out,
and
that was my favorite. I mean, I still love that album by him.
And people were just jumping around and singing everything, and I just got into it. So it was a great time.
Cool.
Yeah, it was good. He put on a good show.
He's from Compton too, so I'm not from the West Coast or anything, but being such a big NWA fan and Eazy-E fan, I like to see some good Compton representation, because it's a really good mecca for West Coast hip hop. And Dre was the one who, Dr. Dre, like, I think he helped out a lot, because I know he has some affiliation with the game and like Compton City rappers, but Dre did a lot of production on Good Kid, Mad City, or at least a couple tracks. So he did his own thing, not to take anything away from Kendrick or Top Dog Entertainment by any means. But when Dr. Dre produces songs for you, you're good. I mean, there's no way around it. I mean, he's been on Kendrick. He's been on Eminem's album. He's been around. So I think he's a great thing for hip hop. I love him. Between him and J. Cole, I'm always like, who's better at that could kill it on a commercial level and maybe an underground. And I think I talked about that a little bit with Kyle, because J. Cole's album came out December of 2016, so that's technically last year. But I don't know whose was better yet out of those two. But I think they both hold the frame.
Are either one of them coming out with anything new anytime soon?
Who, J. Cole or Kendrick?
Yeah, as far as you know.
Not that I know.
Okay, just asking.
Yeah, J. Cole's. Yeah, his. I think it was technically an EP, but it was good, and there's a documentary on that on YouTube if you want to check it out. But I think they're both really good thing for hip hop, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, that's the best Kendrick thing ever," and it's just your opinion. This Damn album, I think it was probably his best singles that came out commercially, but it's not his best work to date. But you know what? Props to him. It seems like he's just coming out with something every year, or every 2 years. Like he's killing it. So if anybody else wants to keep up. But like I said, there's a couple female rappers that have really gotten my attention. I talked about one of them. I'm pretty sure it was the first episode. I've never talked about Nicki Minaj either, but she's really, really, she's a good rapper.
She's a good rapper.
She's a really good rapper. And I'm going to get into the singles right now this week that have caught my attention in the last few weeks. It's called Motorboat. It's by Migos. I'm not a big Migos guy. They have, your catchy bangers on the radio you'll hear in the club or at the bar or whatnot. But I branched them into the mumble rap stuff. But this song, Motorsport, features Cardi B and Nicki Minaj. And Cardi B had that Kodak Yellow song, remember? And she was a stripper. But, I was wondering if these two were ever going to do anything, because I really like Cardi B's delivery. Like she's a good rapper. She's kind of got that dirty. I think she's from Harlem. She's got that kind of just like dirty flow, and she's just real grimy. And my favorite verse in this is the same lips that be talking about me are the same lips that be ass kissing. So she's got this just a confident, nasty, raunchy kind of flow, but it sounds good. And then you could tell like Nicki Minaj comes in and she wants to maybe one up her and show her dominance, and she does a great job too. But I think these two ladies complement each other very well, and I think it's like number 14 right now on the Billboard. This came out at the beginning of the month. Like I heard it on the radio on 92.3 like today. And then I was doing some research. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to check that out. And like, I know Migos, like they're huge, and it was like high up there on Spotify's favorite tracks. And the funny thing is too, like these two ladies lyrically, like they make Migos look silly. I mean, they're doing that mumble rap stuff, and I think they do the production. But shout out to these two ladies, man. They kill it. They kill it. Have you heard the song yet?
No, as you speak, I'm adding it to YouTube so we can listen to it afterwards.
Oh, are you? Yeah. So shout out to Cardi B and Nicki Minaj. And a weird thing, too, I came across is Nas, the legendary Nas, is dating Nicki Minaj.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, good for Nas. They should do a song. He hasn't put anything out forever.
No, some people worship his stuff.
Yeah, like you have a fan base like Nas is the best thing ever. And I think Nas's weakest link was always his production and maybe his work ethic a little bit. Like if he would have stuck to it a little bit harder, like especially the late 90s and early 2000s, he could have maybe surpassed Jay-Z. But Jay-Z had the work ethic and had his own record label and kind of surpassed Nas because they were at like the same spot at one time, in my opinion, and they had diss records against one another and whatnot. But I was always more of a Nas fan than a Jay-Z fan. Like Jay-Z, Reasonable Doubt, his first album was awesome, but so was Nas's. Like they were both on the same playing field, Illmatic. I mean, it's a classic, but as time progressed, like you could see who's winning more, But yeah, at any rate, check out Motorsport. Probably everybody's heard it, I would think. It's on it.
Everybody but me.
Everyone but you, but you'll get there.
I'm getting there.
You're gonna get there. Another single that I like is from a screamo post-rock, post-hardcore band called Pianos Become the Teeth. I've mentioned them before. The song is called Charisma. The album is going to come out in December, apparently. It's called Wait for Love. I really like these guys. They got in a different lane instead of the screaming and that type of stuff. The singer started to sing. He has his own voice, and I like what he's doing. And he did that with their most recent release that came out in 2014 called Keep You. He's doing that again with this new single, so it's nice to see. Like, it sounds like something that could be on Keep You. It has a little bit more of a faster time signature because Keep You was a little way melodramatic and slow. But it's nice to see these guys come out with something. I met them before, and a lot of their older songs were about grieving and dealing with death, and I lost a close loved one, and I got to meet them before the show because it was a smaller intimate setting at Beat Kitchen in Chicago, and they were cool and gave a shout out before one of the songs, and I really like those guys. They're a good band, very nice dudes, and check out the new Pianos Become the Teeth. Another one too that came out, another single is by Tame Impala, Australian boys. I got to see Tame Impala last year at the UIC, and it was a great show. They got like a psychedelic indie rock.
I hear they put on a really good show
thing going on. Yeah, they're a cool band. So, the single that came out is called List of People. It's not bad, and this is an EP that came out. It's 5 tracks. They have a remix by Soulwax for the track Let It Happen, which was like the main single from their most recent release a couple years ago. But if you're a Tame Impala fan, check it out. The single's decent. My favorite track off this EP is called Five Tracks. So check it out. It's good stuff. And another single that I like, I'm going to really switch it up here because I don't think I've talked about this genre of music yet, but it's by Chris Stapleton. Have you heard of him?
Yes.
Okay. I'm kind of just discovering him, so to speak. I know he's got an outlaw country vibe. I think he has a really badass voice. And this is a good track. It's called Trying to Untangle My Mind. Something you hear at your local bar that, has a really good bluesy country vibe, and I like his voice. I hear a lot of Stevie Ray Vaughan in here. I'm just getting into his stuff, you know.
He has a tiny desk with his wife.
Does he?
They do a lot of music together.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
How long has he been around? Like, what's
He's been around a while. Him and his wife are from Nashville, or at least they went to Nashville, and they wrote a bunch of country songs for a bunch of other country singers, and then he decided, you know what, I'm just going to make my own music. He had a cover of Tennessee Whiskey that's the one that was like, I don't know if it put him on the map, but it was one of them on there. So just look up Tennessee Whiskey.
Okay.
His version is awesome. He's got another version that he did live with Justin Timberlake. I think they did a whole concert together.
Oh, really?
Because they're both from Nashville or something like that.
Yeah, I think JT is.
But yeah, that's all I know about.
So he's been around, right?
He's been around.
Okay, well, cool.
But let's say he's been around in the public eye, the larger public eye, for about 6 years, maybe 7.
Really?
So
see, that's the awesome thing about music.
Maybe less.
Okay,
but, something like that.
Like, I don't really pay attention to too much pop stuff, let alone country, but
yeah, I'm not into the country.
I was told about this, and I was like, all right, I'll check it out. And I think he's got, you know what I like about him? He just doesn't have that cookie cutter country crap going on, you know, like voice wise. Like he seems like he's passionate and he's writing his own lyrics.
Yeah.
You know, like it's coming from the heart. You know, like my wife left me, my dog's dead, and I'm in my pickup. But you know,
what's funny, I find funny, is that he earned his living for a while writing music for other artists.
Oh.
But he ended one of his songs that gave him public's like notoriety and celebrity was a cover of another song. So not one. I mean, I'm sure his original songs, his own songs, are very good, and he has hits. But it's funny that this music writer, the guy that started writing music, actually one of his hits is a cover. I just find that
is weird.
A little bit interesting.
Yeah, that is cool. Like that's the cool thing about music. Like I've heard the name, and then I was referred to this, and then I was online, and it came around. I'm like, you know, trying to vibe to some new singles, and I liked it. So great job, Chris Stapleton. Yeah, that's really all I have for this week. I wanted to do the Thundercat and the Kendrick because they have a connection together, and they're two albums that came out, like I said, like the first quarter of the year that I've been playing around with and listening to. But I don't know if did I give Thundercat a rating, the album?
Yeah, I think 7.5.
7.5. Yeah, and back to Kendrick, I give that a 7 out of 10 too.
Right.
You know, so they're both albums you should definitely check out. And as far as live shows go, like I said, I mentioned the Chris Montez Fest. Like I said, Handsome Prick will be playing at that, but they're also playing December 13th at the G-Man Tavern, and that's on North Clark in Chicago, 3740 North Clark. So go check out Handsome Prick. I'm going to bring those guys on to talk.
I'd love to have them play at the bookstore, but I'm afraid they're going to rip all the walls down.
Yeah, come check out Handsome Prick at the Green Door. It might burn down.
Tentative date for concert.
Tentative date for destruction.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
it's the name of their new album.
It is. They got a new album coming out. It's supposed to come out late December. Looking forward to it. As far as like the aggressive grindcore and death metal goes, I think they do a great job. Not just because I know the guys, but they do a great job, and I want to bring them on hopefully before the end of the year to talk about the new album, but to go through Justin and Brad's, a little bit of their influences, but their favorite death metal albums of the year, you know, because it's still a genre that I love, but I don't keep up with it as much as I used to like 10 years ago. So guys like Justin and Brad, and I know they're going to steer me in the right direction, but it doesn't necessarily have to be just death metal, anything else, because they like other stuff too, but they'd be awesome guests to have on the show.
Maybe they can give you a better background on Chris Stapleton.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe they know more than I do.
I don't think anybody knows more than Chris Stapleton than you.
Sounds like it.
I mean, I guess you celebrate his entire catalog. Kind of like how Michael does the National.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Michael and how much he loves the National.
Michael, owner of the Green Door Books.
Of the Green Door Books. He owns it. He runs the show. Shretton's just here giving Michael nightmares.
That's what I do.
And anxiety. But no, yeah, come to the Green Door, get some books. Remember to shop small, right? Go to
shop local.
Shop small, shop local. Don't go to Walmart. Walmart sucks.
Don't go to Walmart.
We hate Walmart. Yeah. Have a good Thanksgiving. I really hope my voice,
stays like this or gets deeper.
If it could get a little deeper. a little Barry White. See you next week. I'm musically meditated.
That's right.
I'm musically meditated. That's right. I'm musically meditated. That's right.